In this video, we are going to look at corridor fixes and some tips and tricks just to make things easier when you're actually designing a corridor. Now, there won't be any step-by-step in this video, however, it'll just be an information-related video. In here, I have a corridor, I've got design surface, I've got a pretty detailed corridor, so 3 intersections and my residential main road. I've got all my alignments built over here, I've got my profiles over here, and I got multiple things going on, and then I have all my assemblies up here. Now, the biggest challenge of corridors is the targets themselves. So when we design something, what do we target? How do we target? Where do we target things? What do we name the objects? Thankfully, the intersection tool now handles most of this for us. However, there is a related issue in Civil 3D where it stretches the sidewalk targets to the center line of other roads. So this is where all the targets come into play. Now, when we're doing corridors and assemblies, and in previous videos, I stress naming things. Naming. It's going to be your biggest help here. When we name objects, let's name them what it actually is, or what they actually are portraying. So if I go into just look through a couple assemblies here, properties, this I've just named median test. I was testing a median, but this is my primary collector road with a median in it. This piece itself is the median. If I click on this piece, this is the right median gutter, so it's the gutter attached to the median. If I click on this lane, it's the right inside lane. This one is the right outside lane. This will be our right sidewalk gutter, and then this will be our right sidewalk itself. Now, naming stuff. I go through and name absolutely everything, because when we get into building the corridors and targeting and matching elevations, it becomes a real pain when you're trying to figure out what you have named stuff. If none of this is named, Civil 3D kind of guides you through it, but it just makes life a little more difficult. Even looking at my pieces down here, so my residential. This one is residential road, curb and gutter on the left. And you could name it lane on the right if you want, but we'll click on this. We have right lane, we'll click on this piece, left lane. Here we have a left gutter. Here we have our left sidewalk. And then I have this additional little piece for my extension piece. This is purely for grading, and that was in the next, or in the previous video. So when you make all your assemblies, name them descriptively. Primary collector curb and gutter on left, primary collector curb and gutter on the right, primary collector with no median. These pieces we actually end up stretching, so this is where we will do some of the corridor targeting and corridor stretching, which is why I don't have them the 7.7 meters wide. These aren't the only things we need to name though. When we're looking at our profiles here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 5 profiles. You might have more, you might have less. However, what are things named? So if I click on my profile view, this is 64th Avenue Extension. And this is what we named it when we originally made it. However, if I zoom in and click on my design line, this is a 64th Avenue Extension design. Click on the existing, 64th Avenue Extension existing. And then the groundwater line that we had done for the tie-ins, 64th Avenue Extension groundwater level. I only have 3 profiles in this view, and they are all named. We'll take a look at Taradale, or the cul-de-sac one here. If I click on the design, Taradale place design. I click on the existing, Taradale place existing. Not all of my profiles have the groundwater line in them. However, when they do, name it so you know you're tying into it. This is my knuckle curb return design west. If I click on the groundwater, subdivision road, groundwater. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but we can see up here now. Profile knuckle curb return existing. There's multiple ways we can look at this. And then I have another one over here, knuckle curb return design east. So I've gone through and I've named everything very, very, very descriptively, because when we start applying things into corridors, it helps immensely if you can know what you're targeting. I've gone a step further in this as well, and if we look at the intersection, I've created 3 feature lines with elevations on every single corner here to tie our sidewalk and our property line into, because this was a residential road, this was a residential road, and they technically don't match up. So I've just gone through and I've created feature lines. These feature lines are also named. So we have west intersection northwest 1. And you can name it Northwest Property Line if you want. However, this is the naming convention I picked. West intersection Northwest 2. And I'm using that for my edge of sidewalk. West intersection Northwest 3. And I named it for my other edge of sidewalk. So basically my corridor is targeting these 3 feature lines as well as every single alignment in my intersection here when it needs to. Now, taking a look at the alignments themselves, if I click on this alignment here, and if you want, we can go into alignment style and change the color of these so you can see them differently if you have to. Always remember to put them back though. I'm just going to make them yellow because nothing else in my drawing is yellow. And we can actually see things. And I'll do these ones as well. Edit alignment style. Make those yellow. Another hindrance is sometimes your corridor itself builds on top of the alignments. So just change your draw order. Select the corridor, send it to the back so you can see things. So checking on alignments, if I click on this one, it's named 64th Avenue Extension. This is my 64th Avenue extension we tie into an existing road over here. If I click on this alignment, this is my Taradale Way. So I'm carrying my road up and around and down. This alignment down here, Taradale Place. And another example of when your corridor's on top, you can't select that alignment. So just the draw order here. So those are my 3 main alignments, the 1, 2, 3 for my main roads. Here's my knuckle curb return, and yes, I've done this slightly different in this video. I've tried something else here. This is my knuckle curb return alignment, and I've gone from the bottom all the way to the top. So 4 main alignments in here. I've named my cul-de-sac one as well. I guess I would say 5 main alignments, cul-de-sac bulb. And then when we make the intersections themselves, if it's a 3-way, a T intersection like we have here, Civil 3D will make 6 additional alignments to do targeting. So 1 down here, 1 along there, 1 here, and 2 around each corner. And Civil 3D will name these based on what you named your intersection when you made it. So this one will be called West Intersection Right, and then the offset. And right being that we start 0 down here and we're traveling, there's 100, there's 200, this is on the right side. I have gone through and renamed these ones as well, because this one was originally called 64th Avenue West left 64th Avenue left 9.45, whatever we name the intersection. And then we come down here, and these ones will probably be named the same, 64th Avenue intersection right 9.45 bracket 1 or bracket 2, because the original name already exists, so it starts appending it with brackets. So I've gone through and I've renamed the 64th Avenue West intersection. This is my right side, 9.45. This is my left side, 9.45. Same with these. Taradale Way West intersection, left 4.25, that was my offset. This is right 4.25 because 0 is here and we're traveling up. This one, west intersection, the northwest quadrant. And this is west intersection, northeast quadrant. And then I've done the same over here, but with the east intersection. So east intersection right 9.45. And then east intersection left 9.45. If I can click on it. And the same with the residential and the curb and gutters. I'm not actually going to select them, but I've gone through and I've named everything. I've changed the names. I've changed the name of the residential road ones, so it makes more sense. One of the problems with the intersections is if we build an intersection and it's wrong and we end up deleting it, so I delete this and I think I'm good, the 6 alignments stay in your drawing. The intersection marker itself stays in your drawing, so you're going to end up having additional intersections, additional alignments. So that's where you can check under alignments, center line alignments, and start expanding things and see what is here. So my 64th Avenue extension, I've designed existing groundwater level, and that specifically refers to this profile and what's in here. Under profile views, that is the name of this one specifically. So again, just go check everything. Make sure everything is named properly. These are your main alignments. If we have the intersection here, so intersections, we have offset alignments. And we should have 4, 8, 12 offset alignments. And those are the straight ones for each intersection. So if we look here, we have 4 64th Avenue, East, West, Taradale Place, Taradale Way. We have all 12 of these alignments here. And then the curb return alignments themselves, northeast, northwest, residential intersection. So if you delete an intersection, make sure to get rid of the alignments. Make sure to get rid of the intersection marker and just start from scratch. Otherwise, you're going to compound this problem. You're going to have multiple alignments on top of each other. You're not going to know what to select. And it's going to become a headache, and you're not going to know what to target. So that is pretty much naming your alignments, naming your assemblies, naming your profiles, just naming things properly. That is by far the biggest battle here, is naming stuff. And when we start getting into targeting even feature lines and polylines and other objects, naming those will help you out. If we just did polyline, Civil 3D will name it polyline 1, polyline 2, polyline 3, whereas these feature lines, we can apply an elevation and sometimes target that elevation as well as the offset, but we can name these and specify them. So going into just quickly show 1 or 2 corridor properties, I'll show the main one here with maybe the knuckle, and then I'll show the intersection. So under corridor properties, naming things in here as well. And yes, I know I have some extra information. I've been playing around with the median. However, if I go into my west knuckle, naming stuff, because if we click on here, we have all the alignments. Which one do we select? If we click on curb return, the assembly here, of all the assemblies, which one do we pick? Even our vertical baseline, design, east, design, west, existing. Big problem, we're selecting existing because we haven't named things properly. If I go under targets, my width target, and you see here is where I named my piece, left lane. I want to stretch that left lane. Here's the sidewalk, left sidewalk, left sidewalk. This will probably be called urban sidewalk or whatever that assembly piece was named. This would be called super elevation AOR. So targeting my Taradale Way. When we come into here, if we select alignments, we have every single alignment in the drawing. So knowing what things are named, we can add exactly what we want named. And if I move a few things out of the way here, when we click on stuff, we can actually see it highlight. So I'll try and find that again. There's my west knuckle, my targets. If I click on this, usually it will update here so we can actually see which one we're targeting. It'll work better on the intersection here. My outside elevation. So with the outside elevation, we have to select an alignment or a profile. So Taradale Way. And then do we choose design or existing? So this is where naming is going to help you out immensely. These are just some tips and tricks to make your life a little bit easier when you're designing some of these more complicated corridors. This one, in the grand scheme of things, is fairly simple. We're going to have multiple intersections, 4-way stops. They're not going to be roughly 90 degrees. You're going to have things all over the place. So that is looking at that one little piece. Let's look at these intersections with the added offsets that I have to my feature lines here. So I'll just move that off to the right. We'll close properties so I have a little bit more room. So going into corridor properties, if I look at my northeast quadrant, and again, just apply it to the northwest, the other intersections, etc. But look at some of my targets. So I am targeting with every single one of these pieces. So my right lane, my right sidewalks, I'm using targets. So if I go into my width target here, when I click on these, if we see Civil 3D will show us which alignment these are. I believe it didn't show the other one because it was already highlighted in red. However, this can help you out. Okay, I want to target this one here. I want to target this piece here. And then west intersection, so WI west intersection, northeast quadrant. 3 for my right sidewalk. That I want to stretch my offset target of inside boulevard width. So my inside boulevard, I wanted to target this feature line here, which I've called WINE3. WINE2 is this piece of sidewalk. So I want to tie the outside sidewalk into the outside sidewalk, the inside sidewalk into the inside sidewalk. And then my offset target of outside boulevard width. I want to target my very outside line to tie into the property line on both sides. This goes along with my elevation targets, so my right lane. And again, it's just paying attention and naming stuff. Right lane, I want to target my design and my design for 64th Avenue Extension West and Taradale Way design. And then my profile of slope, so the elevation, I want to target the elevation from the west intersection northeast 1. So this outside one is the elevation I want to target. So naming stuff, make sure everything is named very descriptively, and it's going to help you out. If you do happen to have some offset problems and you don't know what Civil 3D is using and you built your intersection, you're having major issues, look at the targets. Make sure these are locked together, so check your profiles. If I click on this profile here, we see these two little locks. What this means is that this section here is tied in to wherever this road is coming down south and hitting here. So if I move this profile up or down, these locks will update and either move up or down. So never, ever, ever unlock these. If you happen to unlock them, there is a way to relock them. We select the intersection marker, right click, and we have 7 options here. So we can go through our intersection properties and see what profiles are being used. So profile 64th Avenue design, Taradale Way design. Now changing these might not fix all your problems. You may have to just delete and redo the intersection. However, we have offset parameters. So what did I write for my offsets? So my value 9.45, 9.45, 4 1/4, 4 1/4. We can come in and change these. If we have messed these numbers up, we can come in and change them. And it also tells you what the alignment name is. So you can modify things after the fact. If we go curb return parameters, what did we use for radiuses? Radii. And you can come in here and change them. Side road profiles. We can apply different grades. We can specify grades. We can control how this is working. Lane slope parameters. From center, it tells you the alignment names. 64th Avenue Extension right, -2. Oh, that's the profile name. So I renamed my alignments, but I didn't go in and rename my profiles, which you could do as well. And then we have curb return profile rules. So how are the curb return profiles working? So naming things, making sure you know what's going on, paying attention is going to help you out immensely here. This is probably the easiest way to make your life easier, is just naming objects from the get-go. If I had none of this named and I just clicked OK, 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 we would see alignment 1, alignment 2, alignment 3, alignment 4, alignment 5, and you don't really know what to select. You don't know what's going on. It makes it harder to diagnose issues if you cannot physically see where your problems are. So that is just a few of my tips and tricks on making your corridor designing job here easier. Again, this is a fairly simple design. Real life, we're going to have a much more complicated design. There's going to be more intersections. There's going to be more knuckles and cul-de-sacs. So your drawing will be a lot crazier than this. You'll have a lot more assemblies. Just name things to make things easier.